Hello and welcome to the first episode of All Quiet in the Trenches. I'm really excited to play through this game. I played through it once just a few weeks ago and really enjoyed my playthrough, and I'm really ready to give it another go again. So, click continue, get on in here. Monday, March 1st, 1915. I could still hardly believe that a few days ago, back home, I had been appointed Unteroffizier in charge of this handful of men. And here they were, sneaking through the trenches behind me, not 100 meters from the enemy positions, with heavy packs and dwindling strength. Kar Minka, smaller than his comrade, seemed pensive but alert. Senior teacher Wilhelm Schmidbauer wore a precise mustache and seemed surprisingly spry for his age. Wolfgang Kohn appeared euphoric and full of energy despite the long march. Ferdinand Cumberbund looked small and lost. Exhausted, we finally found the dugout of the lieutenant to whom we had been assigned. There you are, Herr Unteroffizier, he greeted me. You seem to have taken your time. Surely you are fit enough to start work straight away. The lieutenant's condescending gaze swept over my men and then rested appraisingly on me. I feel like we need to make a good first impression. So, yes, Herr Lieutenant. Regardless of how I assessed our situation, this was not the time to make a bad first impression on my superior. Carsbrook nodded in satisfaction. My adjutant will show you your sleeping quarters. Afterwards, report to me for today's duties. I felt the eyes of my soldiers on my back. Obviously, some of the men resented my lack of concern for their needs. Without so much as another glance at me, Lieutenant turned his back to the documents on his table. Welcome to the trenches, Herr Unteroffizier. All right, and here we are in the trench. Oh, Cumberbund wants our attention here. Herr Unteroffizier, we only have the rations left that we took with us. Where are we supposed to get something to eat around here? Very concerned. Oh, the lieutenant wants to see us. You're just in time. I've assigned your group to night watch. Assign a few men to it. I suggest you send the rest to the supply depot. There you will get provisions for the next few days. But from now on, managing your group's food supply will be your responsibility alone. So, night watch. Okay. I feel like we need to go for like the experienced guys or the guys who are not tired. These are my least fatigued guys. So we're going to put them on night watch and then rations, the other two. Change to rations for 3 or more days. Okay. Oh, communication trench collapsed. Gather your shovels and men. You have to rebuild it as soon as possible. All right, so now we need 3 guys to maintain the trenches. So again, we're going to pick our 2 that are least, and then we'll make Cumberbund go. March 3rd. A few hours ago, the roar of artillery had begun. At first, it was as quiet as the rumble of thunder in the distance, but recently it had become steadily louder and more threatening. There was a thud not 10 meters from the hiding spot where my men were huddled. An artillery shell shredded the dugout of our neighboring troop. Found 2 for all help came too late. A third, however, we could still hear panting. He was lying with his upper body trapped under the fallen beams. His face was distorted with pain, and he was barely conscious. My men stood around him, forlorn, and looked over to me for help. Cummerbund said pleadingly, Herr Unterofficer, we must try to help him. Together we lifted the beam from his chest and only now saw the full extent of the damage. His chest looked crushed and his hip strangely twisted. A long splinter protruded from his abdomen and his shirt was soaked in blood. Minke shook his head. He's beyond help. A mercy killing will save him and us both. Nah, we can't leave. Can't leave a man. Get a stretcher, I ordered. First, I wanted to get him out of this wreckage and then decide whether I would expose my men to the danger of carrying him to the military hospital. There, the nurses could determine whether and how to help him. I feel like I need to send my two most compassionate ones. Herr Unterofficer, the wounded man we took to the field hospital, unfortunately, he died. Yeah, not totally unexpected, I don't think. We did what we could, the people in the field hospital too. I guess it was just too late for him. I'm glad we tried, but it's still saddening. We need a couple guys to fetch some ammo. Yeah, all these guys are locked right now because they're too exhausted. All right, so we're going to advance. For the past day, my men and I have been sitting tightly packed in our bunker while the French artillery rained down salvo after salvo of death and destruction on us. During the hard work of our first days in the trenches, I had hardly found a quiet minute to have a personal conversation with my men. So now they were sitting next to me, tense and still mostly strangers, and I fervently hoped that they would survive the shelling unscathed. The silence between us was in sharp contrast to the constant droning outside. When, after hours, the firing suddenly stopped, a sigh of relief went through the ranks of some of the young soldiers. However, that was the moment when the veterans of the other troops tensed up and began to load their rifles. A cacophony of whistles snapped us out of our stupor as well. The French were attacking. With God, Kaiser, and the Vaterland. I shouted and charged into the trenches. Others joined in my battle cry, and together we roared against the cries of the oncoming French. All right. To battle we go. The enemy have superior numbers. We may soon have to retreat from these trenches. Herr Unterofficer, you and your greenhorns are to collect and evacuate all the ammunition you can find. If we're to lose this trench, at least we won't lose our equipment. There was still a bit of ammunition and first aid supplies here. I took everything I could find. Good job. I was able to find some ammunition. Okay, good. I have my guys move over here and see if we can find on any. Oh no, I guess we moved back to where we went. I'm not sure if I need to keep looking around for ammo or if I'm good. No, the French are right here. All right, we got some help moving up onto the lines. All right, let's go back here. We're going to keep looking for ammo. Heads down, artillery. Yeah, no kidding, man. All right, so this gets us to more ammo spots. Oh shit, the French are in the trench now. This one's taking a while. All right, here we go. All right, search the case. Minky, you do that. There are French over there. We have to get out of here. We're trying, man. We seem to have lost Minky. So maybe it's I need to be moving my whole unit at once to avoid them getting separated, because now he's left. He's all by himself. There he is. Okay, I think he found us again. Come on, Cummerbund. Come on, Cummerbund. We got to get out of here, dude. Come on, buddy. There we go. Come on. All right, how far back are we supposed to go back here? Okay. Okay, guys, keep going. Follow orders. All right, so we completed our task. Courage starter, that should be enough, right? We've collected quite a lot now, and I can't carry much more. Yes, I think you've done well. Oh no, we have an injury. Somebody's hurt. No, 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 no. We gotta go back for him. All right, let's go. All together. All right, I guess we go back to camp now. I don't know if we'll have all 4 of our guys or not. That's a little concerning. Yeah, so we're back in camp now. The explosions, gunshots, and screams still echoed in my ears. We had only been fighting for a few minutes, and yet it felt as if years had passed since this morning, and the everyday life back home a lifetime away. To be in the camp now, safely far beyond the front, was surreal. The light-hearted chirping of the birds almost drowned out the dull rumble of the front and the cries of the pain from the field hospital where we had taken Schmidtbauer. My people lay down exhausted on the grass, surrounded by the boxes of ammunition and equipment we had saved. Dirty and bloodied, some still pale and trembling. But soon the angry voice of the lieutenant in the distance abruptly woke the supposed peace, even before we could see him coming towards us amidst the tents. On your feet, men. I ordered and motioned my men to stand at attention. The lieutenant looked satisfied. Seeing the ample supply of ammunition seemed to further soothe his more morose mood. Good job, Herr Unteroffizier. He forced out against his visibly blazing anger. Not that it was a difficult task, but apparently, with this bunch of slobs, you have to be happy if anyone shows even a modicum of competency. Our troops were in the best position for a counterattack, but no, the reserve was too cowardly to take advantage of this unique opportunity we had prepared for them. The lieutenant rumbled without prompting. And now the Herr Major accuses me, us, of having abandoned the trench line unnecessarily. A disgrace. Henceforth we will hold the line, come what may. Yes, Herr Lieutenant. I replied loudly and without hesitation. The lieutenant nodded contentedly. Set up camp, Herr Unteroffizier. Sooner or later we'll get our chance to pay back the French, he ordered, and left us to take out his displeasure on others. All right, so we're off to camp. Schmidtbauer is in the field hospital. The other 3 are setting up camp. So let's figure out what the mood is here. Schmidtbauer is, yeah. Don't worry, Schmidtbauer is doing pretty well. He will soon recover from his wound. That's good to hear. I'm honestly glad you were overwhelmed so quickly. The shorter the skirmish, the fewer dead and wounded. Lieutenant can throw a fit about losing the trench all he wants, but I'm content with not being overburdened and nobody dying under my care, just because we don't have enough time for proper treatment. Don't know if I agree with that or not. Oh, you're one of those now. I'll go back to saving lives. Or do you think that this conversation is more important than the lives of your comrades as well? Wow. She speaks harshly. This is Zelensky, the field cook. I'm afraid I can't cook anything for you right now, though, as your squad hasn't been allocated supplies yet. Better contact Field Lieutenant Hennick. He is responsible for your supplies. Okay. And here's Field Intendant, Hennick, responsible for supplying the troops. Allocate supplies to your group immediately. This should last you until the next supply shipment. All right. It'll be a few more weeks, but the next supply is coming soon. All right. That's all I needed. Thank you. Let's go double rations. Yeah. Get them recovered. Get them some food. Sunday service usually lifted the spirits in camp, especially among the more religious of the men. Accordingly, I was relieved when a military chaplain finally came by, and many of the soldiers rushed to the opportunity to listen to his sermons. As usual, Cummerbund was first among the pious congregating at the service. Still, as their small procession passed me by, he took the time for a brief chat to tell me, "You know, Herr Unteroffizier, I think I could lead a sermon too. Before I came here, I studied theology after all, and we would no longer have to wait for another man to undertake the arduous journey." Yeah, why not? All right, from now on, you'll be leading the sermons, I decided. For a moment, Cummerbund began beaming from ear to ear, but he quickly caught himself and turned somber once more. "If those are your orders, of course I accept," he told me with a respectful bow, before hurrying to catch up with the other soldiers. Nice. All right, so it looks like Schmidtbauer's back with us, and we got a new guy, Wellinger. Or Wellinger, I guess. Perfect weather for this little camping trip, isn't it, Herr Unteroffizier? Haha, I'm Franz Wellinger, your new man. Hope not all of the French girls in the village are already taken, or at least that they're willing to make an exception for me, ha. Okay. Bonjour, monsieur. Are you the Herr Unteroffizier whose people pitched their tents right here at the camp entrance? My name is Marianne LaRoche. I am one of the village elders in our community. Since I can speak German, I try my best to mediate between the residents of the village and the soldiers here in camp. Oh, okay. So send one of our people to go pick up some food. Okay. Let's send the new guy. He's keen to meet the locals anyway. Oh, Schmidtbauer, I've been released from the hospital. I'm still a bit bruised, but I'm feeling a lot better already. The rest will surely heal soon. Great. Our supplies are running low. I'd love to give the men more. I will only serve standard rations. Yeah, that's fine. These villagers are suspect. I keep hearing stories of attacks by I don't know how to say that. Francs tireurs on our comrades along the front. Organize some patrols through the village. Show the French who's in control here. Okay. So we will patrol the village. Schmidtbauer we're going to let rest. So I'm going to let... When I faced Schmidtbauer alone for the first time, he stood expectantly in front of me, impeccably adjusted. "Your orders, Herr Unteroffizier? You can count on me," he spoke clearly and devoid of humor. I liked his obvious meticulousness, as well as the respect he showed me. "Very well, soldier," I said in an authoritative tone. "Do not disappoint me." "I won't," he said, then suddenly became a little more confidential in tone. "You and I, we have to keep the group in line." I think he was a welcome asset. "Absolutely," I agreed with him. "I'll get back to you on that." He seemed very pleased. "Anytime," he encouraged me. And we exchanged complicit glances once more before parting. A soldier were just coming back into camp with a stack of freshly chopped wood when I heard the young soldier Willinger quipping, "It's a pity we're not at home. I'd know where we could find some stacks. At Lottie's." Farmer Shrunka's daughter. She's really stacked. I can imagine his accompanying gesture. Oh my goodness. He's not attacking anybody. He's just saying stuff. So we'll just let him be. Low food supplies. Exhausted. Okay. Low supplies. Low food supplies removed. Finally, took you long enough. The Major ordered the start of the offensive this morning. Oh, man. Unfortunately, we don't get a chance to win fame and honor just yet. We're in reserve for the time being. Make sure your men are ready to move out at all times. After all, we don't want to disappoint the Major once it's finally our turn. Our unit is tasked with guard duty. Appoint 2 men to patrol the boundaries of our camp. Okay. All right. Thank you for taking the time. Sister Elizabeth seemed tense, even though the field hospital did not seem too crowded at the moment. Please follow me, she motioned, and then led me past the hospital towards a barren patch of land with a series of shallow ditches dug in a line. Graves. I heard there's a new offensive coming. Elizabeth paused and turned towards me with dire seriousness in her eyes and pointed towards the graves. Well, we're going to need a lot more of those. Do you think you could spare some of your men to dig more of them? Yeah. Yeah, we're going to help with that. Of course, we'll help out, I promised. I could see the relief in her eyes when that load came off her shoulders. Thank you so much. You're not just helping the hospital, you're helping everyone who comes through here, perhaps even yourself. If we run out of space for the dead, we also run out of space and time for those who might still be saved. She gave me a tired smile, gently squeezed my arm, and slowly made her way back to the field hospital. Your men are exhausted. With your permission, I'd like to give them larger portions to get them back into shapes. Yep. All right, so who's on guard duty? I think we send... Yeah, I think this is what we do. We let Schmidt-Bauer continue to rest and recover. Someone should take care of that before it overflows, okay? Sorry, Schmidt-Bauer, you're on latrine duty. No, sorry, I can't do that. I can't give up my food. My responsibility is to take care of my guys. I can't do that. Oh my gosh, man. Owen behaved very decently on his patrol. Please tell him I'm very grateful. Okay, that's good. All right. Another diary entry. Mold everywhere, Zelensky commented as he held out an exemplary loaf of bread covered in green stains to me. I'll have to throw it away. I lowered my gaze anxiously to the baskets of baked goods at his feet. The warehouse was still well stocked for the moment. I say save what can be saved. We just don't know when food supplies are going to run out even more than they already are. Zelensky was horrified, but Herr Unteroffizier, that's dangerous. I can't condone it. My order, my responsibility. I looked at him, promoting him to follow my orders. He looked disgustedly at the loaf of bread in his hand for a moment, but then nodded reluctantly and set to work. Every time I saw Minky, I almost didn't trust my own eyes. I could not help but wonder if that boy was old enough to be drafted. He was short, his shoulders narrow, and there was not a hint of peach fuzz on his cheeks, let alone a beard. Hmm. I took him to the side and gave him a kind smile. Keep your head down out there, all right? I don't want you getting yourself killed. For a moment, that seemed to unsettle the young soldier, but his confidence quickly returned with a flourish. Herr Unteroffizier, do you mean to question the recruitment officer that considered me highly qualified for frontline duty? You've got your wits about that. I like that. I told him. Keep that up and we won't have any issues. Gave the young man an encouraging pat on the back before letting him go. Madame Laroche, the speaker of the nearby French village, greeted me with some reservation and quickly cut to the chase of why she'd come to visit me. Your cannons have been thundering day and night, and the villagers are scared. Especially the younger children are suffering. It was only in that moment that it occurred to me that our artillery truly had been firing almost non-stop for some time now. Of course, the distant, if constant, grumbling paled in comparison to the actual impacts we faced on the battlefield, and I had long learned to put the noise out of my mind, or perhaps my hearing had just gotten that bad. Do you perhaps know how long this will continue? I feel like I can only say that one. I am not about to spill military secrets, I proclaimed in outrage and sized her up. Secrets? Madame Laroche seemed confused. My apologies, monsieur. I did not mean to overstep. It's not like we've any choice but to persevere. It would have just been nice to know if an end is in sight. With those words, she turned away and mumbled a quick goodbye. Alright, so Cummerbund's preparing church service. What do we have here? Double rations. Whoops. Didn't mean to click off that. Negative events increased. Fairly compassionate. Oh, we got another new guy. You look like you are exactly the man I'm looking for. Herr Unteroffizier, right? Wonderful. If I may introduce myself, Reinhard Hunt, your new guy. I hope my predecessor is fine. So we got another new guy. Rats everywhere. They're devouring our food stocks. We have to do something. Supplies are running low. Yeah. All right, so we're doing pest control. Who are the guys that are least tired here? No, actually, let's put the two new guys on rat control. There's a pub in the village. Cummerbund and I would like to visit with your permission. I mean, Cummerbund can't go because he's preparing church service. And then pest control's got to go to somebody else. I guess Cone can do that. And I'll send Wellinger to the pub. One day, Schmidt-Bauer was supposed to receive an exceptionally large Liebesgabe today. This particular parcel contained a generic letter of encouragement and quite a few cans of food. I guess I'll nudge him that way. I suggested he share the contents with his comrades. With all due respect, but this is mine, he denied rather defensively and began to stow the cans away in his tent. Well, fair enough. Hunt came hurrying toward me, clearly upset and with a blood-stained uniform. Herr Unteroffizier, have you seen the sorry state of the field hospital? I just helped carry one of the wounded who couldn't make it on his own to the field hospital. The injured are everywhere, and the beds are overflowing already. The nurses just told me to drop him off wherever, that they had no time to tend to him anyhow. I'd known, with the intense fighting of the last few days, that a lot of injured were passing through our camp. But to think that the state of the field hospital had already gotten so bad, is there nothing to be done? The soldier pleaded with me. I will look into it. I'm the leader of the group. It's my responsibility. Man. Hoot nodded and began nervously walking up and down the camp. I should probably talk to Elizabeth soon and see if we can help. So more pest control. We have a few POWs in our camp that need guarding until they can be moved to a prison. Until then, it will be your responsibility. Okay. All right, so 2 guys for pest control. You definitely get to do that. The new guys get to do pest control. Hunt looked neat and well groomed, and yet I noticed right away that his appearance did not entirely comply with the regulations. Only when he came closer did I realize that he wore a blue forget-me-not in his buttonhole and had turned up the collar of his uniform jauntily. His sleeves had also been skillfully and permanently rolled up. Lose the flower, I said sternly, reluctantly, took the forget-me-not out of his buttonhole and dropped it. You're a soldier, I explained to him. This here is no joke. Hoot nodded. It's not about fun, he said quickly. For me, it's about beauty. I want to be a filmmaker. You work on films? I asked. It was at this moment that Hoot really came to life. He talked about the budding film industry that was just beginning to flourish and how he had gained a foothold in it. At first, I only operated the projector and the camera, but then the owner of the cinema, who also owns a film production company, started using me more and more for all kinds of work. He never stopped talking, and I listened attentively until we were interrupted. I feel like a lot of time has passed. We got to be about ready to go to the front, huh? The turmoil in the village could be overheard before we saw the smoke and flames in the otherwise dark night. A barn had caught fire, and now the villagers scrambled to prevent the fire of spreading. Yeah, we rushed to their aid. I hastily gathered my men, burdened them with as many buckets as we could find, and led them into the village. The villagers met us with surprise and gratefulness, and together we successfully fought the fire. After the work was done, the French civilians brought some refreshments and gifts of gratitude to me and my men. It was clear they still didn't appreciate our presence in the village, though. Okay. The rats keep coming. More pest control. All right, we're going to battle soon. I hope you kept your people ready as ordered. I expect you and your men to give it your all. Okay. So 1 more turn until our next engagement. We were preparing for the imminent operation a few days from now. The mood was tense enough, but it seemed to weigh particularly hard on Wellinger. When he had heard of our upcoming deployment, he turned pale, and fear had not left his eyes since. Is everything all right? I asked him carefully. Perhaps there was some ways to help him handle the situation. He looked up and sighed deeply. To be honest, no, Herr Unteroffizier. The thought of going to battle and possibly never returned. He gulped and lowered his head gaze. I nodded. Every soldier knew this fear. Together we will come through. You and I are, and all our comrades, we just have to watch out for one another. With a faint smile, he glanced over towards the other men and seemed to find a glimmer of hope again. I will do what I can, he promised in return, and returned to his tasks, slightly less gloomy. Men, tomorrow we march to battle, announced the lieutenant. He had summoned all his subordinate under-officers to discuss the upcoming operation. Their fear of what might come was clearly palpable, but most of them did their best to cover it up with their heads high and chests puffed up with pride. The goal of our mission is to conquer and hold the next trench line. But we have an ace up our sleeve. Our artillery is in position, just waiting to cut off reinforcements from the enemy. I expect you to use this advantage aggressively and decisively. Do not disappoint me. At your command, Lieutenant, the officers around me expressed with varying degrees of enthusiasm. I gotta join in. At your command, Lieutenant, I joined them. The lieutenant nodded, satisfied, saluted, and dismissed us. All right. And that sends us to the next level, which is where the game will save. So this will be the end of the first episode. Stay tuned shortly, and I'm sure we'll have the second episode up here in a day or two. Take care, and we'll see you in the next time.